You know what's fascinating? While everyone's arguing about moving to Dubai or Portugal, there's this Southeast Asian country that's quietly become one of the most intriguing places for expats, digital nomads, and retirees. And here's the thing that'll surprise you. It's not Thailand. Malaysia has been flying under the radar, and honestly, that might be exactly why it's worth your attention. But before you start packing your bags or completely write it off, there are some things you absolutely need to know. Some of them will excite you, others might make you reconsider, and a few will probably catch you completely off guard. Let me paint you a picture first. Imagine waking up in a modern apartment that costs less than a parking spot in London or New York. You grab breakfast at a street stall where a full meal costs about the same as a coffee back home. By afternoon, you're working with high-speed internet that rivals anything in Singapore. Weekend comes, and within an hour's drive, you could be on pristine islands, in rainforests older than the Amazon, or exploring caves that look like they belong in another world. Sounds almost too good to be true, right? Well, that's exactly why we need to dig deeper. Let's talk money, because that's probably why Malaysia caught your attention in the first place. The numbers you see online about Malaysia being cheap, they're both true and misleading. And here's where it gets interesting. A comfortable middle-class life in Kuala Lumpur can run you anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 monthly. And that's including rent, food, transportation, and entertainment. In Penang or Johor Bahru, knock off another $300 to $500. Compare that to living in Sydney, London, or Vancouver, where you'd need 3 to 4 times that amount just to maintain a similar lifestyle. But here's the curveball. Malaysia has this weird 2-tier pricing system that nobody really talks about. There's the local economy and the expat economy, and they operate almost in parallel universes. That same apartment, a local might pay $400, while the landlord quotes you $700. That restaurant, locals know the spot where nasi lemak costs $1, while you're eating at the cafe where it's $5. The trick is learning to navigate both worlds. Master this, and Malaysia becomes incredibly affordable. Stick to expat bubbles, and it's just moderately cheap. But even in those expat-friendly spots, you're still saving massive amounts compared to Western countries. A decent gym membership? $30 a month. Regular massage sessions? $15 each. Eating out at a nice restaurant? $20 for 2 people with drinks. Healthcare is where things get really interesting. Malaysia has some of the best private hospitals in Asia. We're talking facilities that look like 5-star hotels, with internationally trained doctors. A specialist consultation costs about $15 to $30. An MRI? Around $200. Major surgery? Often 70 to 80% cheaper than in the US, even at the top private hospitals. Medical tourism is huge here, and there's a reason for that. But the public healthcare system, that's a different story. It's incredibly affordable, technically available to residents, but overwhelmed and underfunded. You'll wait months for non-urgent procedures. The facilities aren't terrible, but they're definitely not the gleaming private hospitals. Most expats and even middle-class Malaysians stick to private healthcare. Now, let's address the elephant in the room that everyone glosses over. The weather. Malaysia is hot. Like, really hot. And humid. We're talking 30 to 33 degrees Celsius daily, with humidity hovering around 80 to 90%. Here's what nobody tells you about perpetual summer. For the first month, you'll love it. No winter clothes. Constant warmth. That holiday feeling. By month 3, you'll start understanding why locals are obsessed with air conditioning. By month 6, you might find yourself fantasizing about crisp autumn days, or the satisfying crunch of walking on frost. The lack of seasons affects you psychologically in ways you don't expect. There's no natural reset button, no new year, new me energy that comes with spring, no cozy winter evenings. Every day looks pretty much the same. Some people thrive on this consistency. Others start feeling unmoored, like they're stuck in a time loop. But here's the flip side. No seasonal depression. No scraping ice off your car at 6 in the morning. No losing 3 months of the year to grey skies and vitamin D deficiency. You can plan outdoor activities any day of the year. Christmas in shorts and flip-flops becomes your new normal. The rain, though, that's its own adventure. Malaysia doesn't do gentle drizzle. When it rains, it rains. We're talking biblical downpours that turn streets into rivers within minutes. But here's the beautiful part. It usually lasts 30 minutes to an hour, then it's done. The air feels fresh, temperatures drop a bit, and life goes on. You learn to carry a small umbrella or just wait it out in a cafe. Malaysia is officially about 70% Muslim, and that shapes a lot of daily life, in ways both obvious and subtle. But here's where Malaysia gets really fascinating. It's like someone took Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous cultures, put them in a blender, hit pulse a few times instead of puree, and created something entirely unique. You'll see mosques next to Chinese temples next to Indian shrines. You'll celebrate Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, and Christmas as national holidays. The food scene alone is worth the price of admission. Malay satay, Chinese cha, kway teow, Indian roti canai, and Nyonya cuisine that blends it all together. But this diversity comes with complexity. As an outsider, you need to develop a kind of cultural awareness that goes beyond what you might be used to. What's perfectly acceptable in a Chinese-majority area of KL might raise eyebrows in Kelantan. The liberal vibe of Penang feels worlds apart from more conservative parts of Terengganu. The official religion being Islam means some things that might seem normal elsewhere aren't available or are restricted here. Alcohol isn't sold in many places, and when it is, it's heavily taxed. You won't find it in most mamak stalls or Malay restaurants. Some states enforce different rules than others. There's an interesting duality where Kuala Lumpur has thriving nightlife and bars, while other regions are much more conservative. For many expats, this cultural complexity is actually the appeal. You're not in a monoculture. Every day brings new discoveries, new foods to try, new festivals to experience. But it requires a certain flexibility and respect that not everyone has. English is widely spoken in urban areas, and you can absolutely survive in KL, Penang, or Johor Bahru without learning Malay. Most educated Malaysians speak at least 2 or 3 languages fluently. Signs are bilingual. Business is conducted in English. But here's the thing. Survive isn't the same as thrive. There's an invisible ceiling when you don't speak Malay. You miss social cues, jokes go over your head. You can't engage with the full richness of Malaysian life, the best food spots, the real local experiences. The genuine connections with people often require at least basic Malay. The good news? Bahasa Malaysia is one of the easier languages for English speakers to learn. It's phonetic, has no tones, and the grammar is relatively straightforward. Plus, Malaysians are incredibly encouraging when you try to speak their language, even badly. Then there's the Chinese and Tamil communities, each with their own languages. The Chinese Malaysians often speak Mandarin, Cantonese, Hokkien, or other dialects alongside English and Malay. It's mind-blowing how casually people code switch between 3 or 4 languages in a single conversation. Here's where things get complicated, and it's crucial to understand this before you make any decisions. Malaysia's economy is solid and growing, but the job market for foreigners is tricky. Professional salaries in Malaysia are significantly lower than in Western countries. A job that pays $80,000 in Australia might pay $30,000 to $40,000 in Malaysia. Yes, the cost of living is lower, but not that much lower if you want to maintain a similar lifestyle and save for the future. The Malaysian government is also increasingly protective of local jobs. Work permits are getting harder to obtain, and they're mainly reserved for positions that Malaysians can't fill. Senior management, specialized technical roles, English teaching with proper qualifications. Gone are the days when you could easily rock up and find work. Digital nomads have found a sweet spot here. The internet infrastructure in urban areas is excellent and cheap. A good fiber connection costs about $30 to $50 monthly. Co-working spaces are everywhere and affordable. The time zone works reasonably well for clients in Asia, Australia, and even Europe. You can live very comfortably while earning Western salaries remotely. But there's a legal gray area here too. Technically, you need a work permit to work in Malaysia, even remotely for foreign companies. In practice, this isn't heavily enforced for digital nomads, but it's also not officially sanctioned. The MM2H visa program was recently revamped with much stricter requirements, making it less accessible than before. Entrepreneurship is possible and encouraged in many ways. Setting up a company is relatively straightforward. The business environment is more structured than neighboring Thailand, but less bureaucratic than Singapore. However, you'll deal with occasional regulatory frustrations and a business culture that relies heavily on relationships and face-to-face connections. Malaysia's infrastructure is impressively modern in parts and frustratingly inadequate in others. The Kuala Lumpur metro system is clean, efficient, and cheap. The Clear airport is world-class. Highways are well-maintained. Internet speeds in cities rival anywhere in the world. But the traffic? Oh. The traffic. KL traffic is legendary for all the wrong reasons. What should be a 20-minute drive can easily become 90 minutes during rush hour. The public transportation network, while improving, doesn't cover everything. You'll likely need a car eventually. And once you have one, you'll spend more time in it than you'd like. The car dependency reveals another quirk. Malaysia has some of the highest car prices in the world due to heavy import taxes and protectionist policies for the local auto industry. A Toyota Camry that costs $25,000 in the US will run you $50,000 plus in Malaysia. Most expats end up buying local brands like Proton or Perodua, which are affordable, but not quite the same quality you might be used to. Outside major cities, infrastructure quality drops noticeably. Roads become rougher. Internet becomes spottier. Healthcare options narrow. This isn't necessarily bad if you're into adventure and don't mind roughing it a bit. But it's a shock if you're expecting consistent first-world infrastructure everywhere. Making friends in Malaysia as an expat sits in an interesting middle ground. It's not as transient as Thailand or Bali where everyone's passing through. But it's not as settled as, say, Australia, where social circles are established and harder to penetrate. The expat community is substantial but fragmented. You've got long-term expats who've been here decades. Digital nomads passing through for months at a time. Corporate transplants on 3-year contracts. Retirees settling down, and students from all over Asia. Each group has its own vibe and hangouts. Malaysians themselves are generally friendly and welcoming, but cracking into local friend groups takes effort. There's often an invisible line between work friends and real friends. The culture is relationship-based, and genuine friendships take time to develop. Language definitely helps here. Being able to joke in Malay or understand local references opens doors. The dating scene, if that's relevant to you, is its own adventure. The conservative religious element means public displays of affection are less common than you might expect. Dating across cultural and religious lines comes with complications. There's a significant expat bubble, especially in KL. Apps like Tinder and Bumble exist but have a different dynamic than in the West. Let's be real. Malaysia is generally safe, especially compared to many parts of the world. Violent crime against foreigners is rare. You can walk around most areas without fear. Women can generally travel alone safely, though the usual common sense applies. But petty crime is a thing. Phone snatching on motorcycles is notorious in KL. Break-ins happen, especially in ground-floor apartments. Scams targeting foreigners are common. You learn to be streetwise. Don't flash expensive jewelry. Keep your bag on the inside when walking near the road. Don't leave valuables visible in your car. The political situation is stable but occasionally dramatic. Malaysia has seen significant political shifts in recent years, including historic election results and government changes. This doesn't typically affect daily life for expats, but it creates an underlying uncertainty about long-term policies, especially regarding visas, taxes, and foreign ownership rules. One thing that surprises many newcomers: corruption exists and is relatively visible. It's not the crippling, everything requires a bribe corruption of some countries, but neither is it the squeaky clean governance of Singapore. You'll notice it in slow bureaucratic processes, in how certain things get fast-tracked with the right connections, in the occasional police officer fishing for coffee money during traffic stops. If you're moving with kids, education becomes a major consideration. Malaysia has international schools that rival anywhere in the world, offering British, American, Australian, IB, and other curricula. The quality is genuinely excellent, with well-trained teachers, modern facilities, and strong academic programs. The catch? They're expensive, really expensive relative to local salaries. You're looking at $8,000 to $20,000 plus per year per child, depending on the school and grade level. For multiple kids, this can easily eat up any cost of living savings. Local schools are an option, and many expat kids attend them successfully. But the curriculum is in Malay and geared toward local exams. If you plan to return to your home country or move elsewhere, this can create educational disruption. The family-friendly aspects of Malaysia are actually quite strong. It's a family-oriented culture, where kids are generally welcomed everywhere. Domestic help is affordable if you want it. A full-time live-in helper costs about $300 to $400 monthly. There are parks, playgrounds, kid-friendly restaurants, and plenty of activities. Healthcare for kids is excellent in private hospitals, with pediatricians who often trained abroad. Vaccinations and routine care are straightforward. The concern is more about air quality during haze season caused by regional agricultural burning and the general lack of outdoor play spaces compared to Western countries. Opening a bank account, getting a phone plan, registering with immigration, applying for a driving license, these seemingly simple tasks can turn into epic quests in Malaysia. The bureaucracy is real, often illogical, and requires patience you didn't know you had. Different officers will give you different information about what documents you need. Website information is often outdated. Some things that should be possible online require in-person visits. Other things that should require an in-person visit can somehow be done through an agent who charges you $50 and handles it mysteriously. The concept of official versus unofficial ways of doing things takes some getting used to. There's the proper procedure written in the regulations, and then there's how it's actually done. Learning to navigate this, or finding a reliable agent who can, is essential. Banking is its own special adventure. As a foreigner, you'll need a reference letter, proof of address, sometimes proof of income, possibly a work permit, and the patience of a saint. Different banks have different requirements. Some branches of the same bank will say yes, others no. Once you have an account, though, the banking infrastructure is solid and modern. Malaysia is stunningly beautiful, there's no denying that. Ancient rainforests, beautiful beaches, incredible biodiversity. But there are environmental challenges that affect daily life. The haze season, typically August to October, can be brutal. Smoke from forest fires in Indonesia drifts over Malaysia, turning the sky grey and making the air unhealthy to breathe. The air pollution index can spike into hazardous levels. Schools close, outdoor activities stop, everyone stays inside with air purifiers running. Plastic waste is visible and problematic. While there are recycling programs and growing environmental awareness, you'll see more plastic bags, more waste on beaches, less environmental consciousness than you might be used to. If you're eco-conscious, this can be frustrating. On the flip side, Malaysia's commitment to preserving its natural areas is stronger than many countries. The national parks are well managed. There's genuine pride in the country's natural heritage. You can go from city to pristine jungle in under an hour. That access to nature is a massive quality of life boost for many people. Here's the question that matters most. Can you see yourself staying long-term? Malaysia is fantastic for a few years. I would buy as fime, Condust, buy as fime, my. It's an incredible experience. Relatively affordable, comfortable, interesting. But building a life long-term comes with questions that don't have easy answers. Property ownership as a foreigner has restrictions and minimum prices. Building a retirement nest egg on local salaries is challenging. The visa situation, especially post-MM2H changes, creates uncertainty. There's no clear path to permanent residency or citizenship for most foreigners. Many expats see Malaysia as a chapter in their lives rather than the final destination. They enjoy it intensely for 3 to 5 years, maybe longer, then move on. Others find ways to make it work permanently, usually by earning foreign income remotely or running successful businesses. The question you need to ask yourself: are you looking for an adventure, a lower cost of living for a few years, or a genuine forever home? Malaysia can be any of these, but the answer changes how you should approach it. After all this, you might be more confused than when we started. That's actually the point. Malaysia isn't a simple yes or no destination. It's a complex, nuanced place that works brilliantly for some people and frustrates others. It works best if you're flexible, culturally curious, comfortable with ambiguity, and not trying to recreate your home country lifestyle in a cheaper location. It works if you can earn Western income remotely or have a substantial nest egg. It works if you embrace the heat, the chaos, the bureaucracy, and the cultural learning curve as part of the adventure. It's challenging if you need everything to be efficient and logical. If you struggle with heat and humidity, if you need your exact familiar foods and products, if you're not comfortable being a visible minority, or if you need clear, predictable systems and rules. The honest truth? Malaysia probably won't be exactly what you expect, either better or worse. It'll be different, in ways both wonderful and frustrating. The food will blow your mind, the traffic will test your patience, the cost of living will save you money, the bureaucracy will cost you sanity, the cultural experiences will enrich you. The lack of seasons might bore you, the warmth of the people will surprise you. The heat of the weather will exhaust you. But here's what I can tell you with certainty. It's worth experiencing, whether that means a month-long trial visit, a year-long adventure, or a decade-long commitment, depends on your circumstances, your goals, and your flexibility. Malaysia has earned its place as a top destination for expats and digital nomads, not because it's perfect, but because despite its flaws, it offers something increasingly rare in our world: genuine value, authentic cultural experiences, and a quality of life that punches well above its price tag. The question isn't whether Malaysia is objectively good or bad. The question is whether it's right for you, right now, for the life you want to build. And that's something only you can answer. But now, at least, you have a clearer picture of what you're getting into.